could it be scaled down to use for homeowners?
Uh, that's funny. That's a great question. Absolutely, it can, and you may already know. Actually, I think I've watched one of your programs before. There is a group out there that are putting solar panels on roofs of homes. In our environment, absolutely, and we have a design for a residential. However, our market is at a higher level than that from a size wise because of the desperate need. So if you're a long-term care home or a data center, this is a critical component for them. So that's where we're focusing our energy on. There will come a time when there is a residential component, but right now the real need and the real benefit that we can provide is at a higher level to some of the businesses like we have around Halton region.
For large users. Craig, one of the things that I found interesting, your website talks about how much more energy efficient your technology is versus what the utilities can provide. How is that possible?
I like to talk about that in the big picture, but because we're on site, so every ounce of energy that we use is utilized. We don't have wire losses or line losses. So right now, when they produce power far, far away at Niagara Falls or at a gas plant somewhere, by the time you get it, let's say we have 1 unit of fuel. By the time you get that 1 unit of fuel, you're getting about 20%, maybe 22 or 23% of that energy. Because we're on site, we take that same unit of fuel and we're able to get over 80% efficient. So we're able to use all the heat, we use all the power. But also because we're on site, we're able to be specific to what the client needs. So we don't have any waste. And the last piece of it also, because we're modular and we're relatively small in the world of the power industry, we can incorporate all new technologies as they come along. So right now for example, we've just upgraded our computer system because guess what? There's some cool stuff you can do with digital stuff and digital twins and stuff. So we now have one of the most efficient systems that you can have. And I use it as an example. We used to have, it's called a PLC. We used to have a PLC that we used to buy, and it was $10,000 plus $1,000 per megabyte of storage. Today we pay $389 for that same thing, and it has a terabyte. So we're able to implement that right away. And the problem in the traditional power industry, if you build a 500 megawatt any kind of plant, whether it's gas, nuclear, even solar or wind, it's a 500 megawatt plant forever and can never be adjusted. Our systems, the minute something comes along that's better, faster, quicker, we can plug it right in. So we can be and a good example is we're now capable of using green hydrogen, for example, in our system. So we can actually substitute gas for green hydrogen. So it allows us to be completely flexible as the world's changing at 1,000 miles per hour. So the idea of creating something that we can update in real time, as opposed to, like I said, when you build a 500 megawatt plant, you're stuck with that. So that's how we're able to be more efficient. And the last piece is we don't use the wires and poles. And quite frankly, running power from far, far, far away over a bunch of trees and mountains and hills doesn't make a lot of sense in our world. You wouldn't do it today if you were building it today. And imagine now with climate change. So now that today we had a snowstorm, and there will be TS stations that fall down and have and then cut power off at different places that matter. So because we don't use the power and the wires and poles, we can be completely redundant and reliable in a prime power solution.
Craig, I was watching a documentary the other day, and it talked about Nikola Tesla and the alternating current as opposed to direct current. Is that does that influence you at all?
Yeah, you're blowing my genius here, because what we're doing is nothing actually that's new. It was invented long before we were, but that the idea of an alternating current system that we live in was designed to have big giant power plants far, far away and moving the current miles over all these different poles and wires. And it was done because it was cheap and efficient. But the idea being direct power coming in is much more usable. So for example, we have a client that wants to switch their diesel trucks to EV trucks. Well, when you're switching to EV, you're switching to inverters and direct power. So we actually deal with it's called nonlinear loads. But the point being is, yes, in a lot of ways, that's what we're doing. So without getting too technical, we are actually directly providing power on site. And we do use things like UPS and batteries and what you would call direct current, but we also as well use alternating current, but it allows us to use all of that. the bigger piece of it is, though, that we are locally attached right to where we're producing the power, as opposed to being 300 or 400 miles away